people just felt like this was a nice thing to do, right? We have people in jail for nonviolent crimes. Nonviolent crimes. Let's give them a new lease on life. Let's release them from jail now. Sounds great. What's the problem, Slater? What you've described so far sounds like a delicious Taylor pork breakfast sandwich. What's the issue? Well, the question is, what is a nonviolent crime? Exactly. You say nonviolent felony. What is a nonviolent felony? And this is also a good example of painting a picture in your head that we talked about yesterday in the opening hour of the show. Like, you just paint a picture in your head of what a nonviolent felony would be. What's a nonviolent felony? Let's just brainstorm for a second. What do you think? What do you think a nonviolent felony would be? Embezzlement. Do we need to keep the embezzlers in jail? Come on. That sounds like a nonviolent. Stealing a car, maybe? Not carjacking. I remember when I was hearing about all these carjackings in our cities, and I learned that a carjacking is when there's someone in the car. Imagine the boldness of someone stealing your car while you're in it. But let's say just a regular old stealing of a car. That's nonviolent, I guess. You're not there. So I'll call that, maybe that's a nonviolent felony. Littering, I don't think that's a felony, is it? That's not it. Jaywalking, that's nonviolent, but that's not a felony. I don't know. What is a nonviolent felony? I got one. Rape of an unconscious person. In California, that is considered a nonviolent felony under Prop 57, under Kamala Harris. Rape of an unconscious person. Now, if you rape a conscious person, violent. If you drug them first, then rape them, no problem. Nonviolent. That's nonviolent. I'm not kidding you. Prop 57 still today is passed in 2016. It's been 8 years. They have not corrected this because this is intentional this way. They've had many opportunities, which I'll get to in a second. This is still the way it works in California. The rape of an unconscious person is considered nonviolent. Human trafficking, nonviolent. Child abduction, nonviolent. Elder abuse, nonviolent. Assault with a deadly weapon. All right, I know I lost you. Listen, you feel like the guy, like I felt when the guy called in and said, you just got to put ketchup on it. You know, it's like, I'm out, bro. You know, I didn't understand. I get it. You gotta put yourself in a California mindset. It's hard to do. But when you're there long enough, this stuff starts to make sense. It's weird. I don't know what it is. There's no seasons. It like messes with your like sense of time. And you kind of get disoriented. There's palm trees. I don't know what that's like. You know, I don't know what it is. But if you're there long enough, you start to think, or I don't know, people do. People start to think that assault with a deadly weapon is a nonviolent crime. I'm not kidding. Now, this passed in 2016. I want to go back to rape of an unconscious person. I want to make sure that to me is the hallmark of this. Passed in 2016. And then all these people started to get released. And like rapists started to get released. And there were enough people that were like, whoa, what? So some legislatures in Sacramento wrote all these bills saying, hey, let's like this isn't what we meant, clearly, right? Let's fill in these loopholes and let's pass a bill. Like Melissa Melendez, she's an assemblywoman. She wrote a bill that says, hey, let's define all kinds of rape as violent. whether the woman is conscious or not, huh? Can we just go ahead and do that? Let's just like clean that up. Killed in committee. There was another bill that made human sex trafficking a violent crime. Nope, killed in committee. There was another Republican that said, hey, how about this? If you abduct a child, because child abduction, nonviolent, under this bill from Kamala, that passed. That's still in effect. Kamala Harris in California. She was the Attorney General. If you abduct a child, it's a nonviolent felony. How about if you abduct a child for the purpose of prostitution? Let's call that a violent crime. Killed in committee. Every single one of these efforts to close up the Prop 57 problems, every single one of them killed in committee. I could see Kamala and others saying, oh man, we had no idea, like laws like this are tricky, and we said that this applies to Section 486B, and we didn't know that it doesn't exclude 423, Section 85R, whatever. So yeah, let's clean this up. Sorry, everyone. Sorry, but like that happened in Alabama. Like in Alabama, there was the abortion bill they passed, and then it went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said, hey, this also applies to IVF. And 2 days later, remember everyone freaked out like, oh, you can't have an in vitro in Alabama. And 2 days later, the state legislature got together and they're like, and they cleaned it up, right? But done, problem solved. That's great. And California had a chance to do it. They've had 8 years to do that. And they keep shooting all the loopholes down. Let me quote from a Democrat. This guy was Jim Cooper. This is 2019. He said, last Thursday, a California appellate judge ruled that a man originally sentenced to 35 years to life in state prison is now eligible for early release under Prop 57. Okay, so what did this guy do? 35 years to life. What did he do? The felon was convicted of stabbing his girlfriend with a butcher knife. That's assault with a deadly weapon, no problem. Forcibly molesting his 11-year-old niece and gang raping a 17-year-old pregnant teenager. All of those considered non-violent crimes in California. I told you you wouldn't believe me. Seriously, let's think for a second before I go on. Is this the most unbelievable story you've heard? This has got to be up there, right? It's got to be up there. This is, again, Jim Cooper. He was an assemblyman. It pains me to describe these offenses, but it's imperative that I do, because there's something grossly wrong with current law pertaining to these offenses. Under Prop 57, the courts have ruled that violent sexual offenders and even a felon who stabbed his girlfriend is considered a non-violent criminal. And that was a Democrat who said that. And the only reason he had the courage to do that is because he used to be a sheriff before he was an assemblyman. Kamala Harris was the Attorney General during all of this. No one's asking her about it. That'd be a great question. Wouldn't it be someone ask her? Oprah, she was on Oprah the other day. Did Oprah ask her about Prop 57? Has anyone asked her about Prop 57? She was the Attorney General. All right, so what's the latest? This got the Daily Mail jogged my memory on this, because there's a guy in California. Actually, you know the company Max Factor? This is a good game. Men only. Do you know the company Max Factor? Producer Bill and Zach, do you guys know what Max Factor is? I know you've heard of it. Everyone's heard of Max Factor. What is Max Factor?
Is that cosmetics?
Oh, very good, Producer Bill. Well done. It's a makeup company. The heir of that company, the grandson of the founder, his name is, I forget what his name is.
Andrew Luster?
That's it. Andrew Luster. He raped a bunch of women, a bunch of college women. He was older, and he would go out and he'd drug them. Like classic, like he'd roofie women and then rape them. And he'd videotape it. And he finally got arrested. He paid his bail because he's super rich. And then he hoofed it to Mexico. And he was captured by Dog the Bounty Hunter. I know this whole segment. I know how all the crazy this sounds. I stand by every single word I'm saying. He was captured by Dog the Bounty Hunter. And he was sentenced to 124 years in jail. 124 years. This was in 2003-ish. And he is going to get out in 2 months. 2 months he's getting out. December. So maybe 3 months. 2-3 months. He's out in December. He was sentenced to 124 years in jail. He served 21 of them. He has 103 years left on his sentence. And he's getting out. Why? Prop 57. Kamala Harris. I know I keep saying her name. I want to drive that home. She was the attorney general at the time. She supported this bill. She signed off on the ballot language to get it passed. This is on her. Who else would it be on? I mean, the people of California, but Kamala Harris too. She made it possible for this guy to get parole. 21 years into a 124-year sentence. It's affirmed. Like, it's not like he's eligible for parole. He got it. And Kamala Harris made that possible. Because under Prop 57, drugging and raping women is a nonviolent crime. Carjacking is considered a violent crime. So carjacking gets you less chance of parole than date rape. So the guy's 60 now, and one of the women who he raped said it is so psychopathic to set up this type of thing where you find a woman, drug her, and then she's an unconscious body to do these things to her while you're videotaping it. That is a real sadistic way of thinking that I don't know if it could be fixed. So this woman says he's only 60. We're going to let him out? What makes you think he's not going to do it again? I'm going to stop here. Let you sit on that story for a while. Prop 57, if you want to do more research on it, every single word I said is true. That's California, and that's Kamala Harris.